Hi everyone! Now, from the previous video, we talked about this natural, real human response to any perceived sense of a danger, which we feel as stress, called the ancient human stress response. But did you know that our stress response is triggered by a tiny brain the size of a pea tucked away at the base of our mainframe brain? Now, that tiny brain is called our reptilian brain. And it's exactly that old, it's ancient, and genetically connects us with the extinct dinosaurs and beyond. It exists in virtually every animal on the planet because without it, we and they simply can't exist. It defines everything we do and think. Now, who would have guessed, eh? Certainly not me. So, here's how it works. All of our body senses are connected to our nervous system, and that includes our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, so that any information that our senses respond to, whether it be internal, external, physical, mental, and emotional, is transported along our nervous system direct to our reptilian brain, the pea brain. This reptilian brain has one function only. It decides whether or not the signals our senses are picking up on could be a threat to our survival. It's completely irrelevant whether the signal is true or not. It makes that instant decision based on our life history and the memories stored in a part of our brain called the amygdala. You'll hear a lot more about that going forward. And the DNA in every cell in our body. What? Yeah. Now, just for interest, it's believed there are about 1.4 billion units of information stored in the DNA of every single human cell. I mean, wow. Bit of useless information. Anyway, if those signals are not perceived to be a threat, then nothing happens. But if it is, even in the slightest way, the message will be immediately passed on to the rest of our brain to deal with it. Instantly, well, to be precise, 30 millionths of a second, which is faster than we can think. The complete stress response is activated to one degree or another throughout our whole body. And that means a flood of stress hormones and a highly agitated nervous system, which in the moment we simply have to respond to. We cannot not respond. And what sort of things can trigger the reptilian brain, which triggers our stress response? And the answer is absolutely anything. You see, it doesn't know the difference between the potential death from a falling tree, a dinosaur attack, bacterial infection, a raging argument, watching a scary movie, or even the mainstream news, or too much time on a social media device. It doesn't even have to be a real threat, for goodness sake, as even a perceived threat, such as a thought, feeling, or emotion, can do the same job. And it responds exactly the same way every time. Remember, it triggers the stress response, fight or flight, fear, internal immune response, inflammation, and not to forget, anxiety, panic, and sensitized nervous system. Whoa! Now, what is known is that in today's world, our reptilian brain, the tiny pea brain, and stress response is working harder and longer than it ever did before, even beyond its natural limitations. For example, in our ancient hunter-gatherer ancestors, going back over a mere 20,000 years ago, which is not long when you compare it to millions of years, it is thought that the stress response was activated about 10 times a day. While in today's world, it is activated approximately 150 times a day, plus. But now, for many of us, there are not enough hours in a day for it to calm, for it to rest and repair before the next time. And the hormones, increasingly sensitized nervous system, and damaged cells that haven't got time to repair accumulate, along with those levels of stress we are now experiencing. And they're not going away. And a lot of it is coming from, apparently, non-life-threatening technology and food, for goodness sake, which is telling our senses there is a continual danger all around. Now, this is happening in a world history when it has actually never been so safe. At first glance, that seems weird, right? Now, over time, the many simple signs of that include individuals feeling continually overstressed, can't sleep, gut pain, anxiety, panic attacks, and overwhelmed, etc., etc. Now, I have a list of common signs and symptoms that you can compare with your own situation that I'll put up. But get this, other common signs and symptoms of a stress response which is far too active and therefore is compounding the level of stress we feel includes what scientists also call the epidemic of 21st century non-transferable, that means it's not infectious and you can't infect others. Progressive, that means if you do this it gets worse, and if you stop doing that and do things different, it will self-regulate and progress back to normal and even disappear. Now, they include 99% of every metabolic disease on the planet. For example, 3 common ones are heart and arterial disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. Now, that was really news to me. Now, these are the same diseases the scientists have been warning the world about for the past 50 years at least. You see, even with our so-called modern health system, the same diseases are skyrocketing in numbers, and the science can even show us why, which is good to know, don't you think? Now, the good news is that in most cases, it is us who are creating the environment for those issues to exist, because we are giving our pea-brain the reasons to react. And if we know what and how it is happening, it means that if we choose to, we can turn the story around by winding back our stress response, by living a lifestyle which is not allowing our pea-brain to be so reactive all the time. And it's all scientifically proven, which is really good to know. Okay, I think that can only be good news for all of us as individuals, and especially our children. Going forward, they need to know a lot of things. I'm sure you'll agree. So there we go. Food for thought. We made it through another video, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.